as this channel goes, I'm here trying to talk about certain things that are causing about the division in the United States. I'm also bringing some other different perspective on other topics, but mainly the objective is make sure that people that disagree with each other are able to speak through despite we disagreeing, and tone down the division that we see in the country. I know there was someone in the comment that was saying that I was being hypocritical for saying, hey, let's stop the division, but calling Comrade Kamala. And I think he might not get exactly what I'm trying to address. What I'm trying to address, not the politicians necessarily, I'm trying to address the people. Because at the end, the people is that are going through the suffering, is the division between the families, the people that are not speaking to each other, like has happened to me, probably many others. I remember this case from another person who's on YouTube. I forgot her name now from the top of my mind. She stopped talking to her mom for years just because her mom supported Trump. And I think it's very dangerous that we tend to believe other people, or we let our ideology or the way that we want to vote cause us to divide between friends and family, which is pretty much the most precious thing that we have. And on this video from the All-in-One podcast, where Chamath was talking about maybe some of the issues in the US, or some of the things that we have, to what certain extent does the hatred toward Trump equate the potential danger that he might bring? Because many people on the left might say that Trump is a danger to our democracy, which the US is not a democracy, the US is a republic. But adding to that, how I mentioned this to a close friend of mine, how fascist do you have to become so you can prevent Trump from to being in the ballot box? Are you going to remove through the courts all the lawfare that they have been doing with him for years, which, by the way, is not looking good for the New York court's appeal? That's not looking good for the Democrats right now, because that's another video that I'm going to bring in the future. But the point is, there's an obsession about Trump and about some dangers that Trump may bring, that people are they're behaving dangerously because of Trump. And I was having this debate with a close friend of mine because he despises Trump. It is something that we bring Trump and we're trying to have a rational conversation, and he completely loses his shit. Like, he goes from being super reasonable to, it's like this guy did something to his mother and he can't forgive it. I was like, dude, you don't even know the guy. And many people might feel that way, but I think we have to look at it from a different perspective. I'm not saying I'm trying to have people vote for Trump. You vote for whoever you want. That's not the point. The point is having that aggression toward other people just because of how they're built. And I have seen this from the other side as well. But I don't see many people from the right being as divisive in the way that they will stop talking to people that they love just because somebody voted for Trump, versus I know many people that voted for Kamala, that are going to vote for Kamala, that voted for Biden, and we get along really well. But it doesn't seem to be the same way the other way around. And I'm going to show you here the clip that I was talking about, and then I will analyze it with you guys.
As a Democrat who has been left homeless, who is now definitely in the center, but probably leaning increasingly right, I'm left yet again with an appreciation, despite the message of the Trump administration, because what those guys did was pretty incredible in hindsight. These Abraham Accords, the accords with Israel and the GCC, the almost accord between Israel and Saudi, to really be able to find a long-lasting peace is just a real example for the world. And those guys did a lot of really good work. And
it's a miracle, actually, when you look at it. What they did, despite the fact, listen, I'm no fan of Trump, and I am too homeless.
But this is where,
can I say this? But if you want to objectively look at what they did, it was good work. It was great work.
You have to. And in fact, this is a moment where you have to start to re-underwrite, like, is your, not you, Jason, but I'm just saying collectively, is one's Trump derangement syndrome causing more damage than anything that Trump could have actually done? And I think the answer is yes, because like it's now causing us to not see that good work and then embrace and extend it. So much of the work that happened in that administration.
So exactly what he was saying in that point is in a debate that I had with a friend of mine. I was like, hey, look, let's have a bet. Let's write down all the things that you say that Trump is going to do, as you say he's going to be a dictator and destroy our democracy, which we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. Let's put it down. If the guy gets elected and he does the things that you say he does, all right, we can have a conversation. But the people are not able to separate the person from the message, and that's what Chamath is talking about. It's the approach on the border. People on the left were saying, a border is medieval, or it's whatever nonsense they were saying, because of the messenger, not because of the message. Because they will not tell you under the Obama administration they did approve several miles of border wall. And if I don't recall correctly, is the reason it didn't get passed is because the shenanigans in politics, where you don't want to give a W to the opposite party, which is where I am homeless, because I think there's issues that the Democrats bring forward as a legitimate concern. I just have huge disagreements with the approach how Democrats want to fix it, like the medical bills. The way that Democrats want to fix the issues with the medical expenses, let's just make the government handle it. Tell me a single thing where you're like, my goodness, the government does such a great job. Have you guys been to the DMV? Have you guys been to the postal, to the USPS? Come on, almost every single industry that is controlled by the government, since they know you rely 100% on them, they treat you horrible, and they don't care about you. I'm sorry, I don't want that option. And you need to fix the actual process on the medical side and the bureaucracy. That way you can fix those issues. But going back to Trump, on the border, the way that you control people coming into a certain location, the way that you do it in a club, the way that you do it in a concert, you put barriers up, and then people have to funnel through one location or certain locations. That way you have better control of the people. And people are like, oh yeah, but people can jump a wall. But people that say that, in my opinion, are not reasoning. They're not thinking. They're the same way you have a fence in your house. Can people jump a fence outside your house? Yes. Is it a deterrent? You make it more difficult for people to do it. If you have 5 houses, 4 with fences, 1 without a fence, which house is more likely for people to go to the house? The house without a fence. It is the same mentality. And I understand there's geography issues when it comes to the border wall, but the point is you need to have some kind of control. That way you can allow the right people in. I'm an immigrant myself. My family went through the process. I waited the time that I had to wait until it was my opportunity. I got on a flight and I came here to the U.S. legally, as the process should be. And people think, oh yeah, but immigrants are looking for better jobs. You know how many immigrants are there in the world that want to come to the United States? More than that we can afford. Just look at the numbers. Easily more than 1 billion people will come to the U.S. if they could. Can you afford that? Are we not having issues right now with housing, with rent prices in the U.S.? That's the logical thing that people are not thinking. Oh yeah, allow the immigrants in. No problem. But at the same time, we're having issues with inflation in the U.S., issues with the wages in the U.S. that are not at the same level comparing to inflation, the housing price, and they're like, oh yeah, just bring more people in. And where are you going to put them? Where are those people going to sleep? What are those jobs that those people are going to get? What is going to happen when you add, as has happened under the Biden administration, more than 10 million people? Those people need to have a place where they can eat, a place where they can stay, and basic economic, how supply and demand works with rentals or housing. The more people you have, in a certain location, the higher the prices. It's not the same in New York City as anyone outside of any major city. The more people that want to go to a location, increases the prices. Therefore, you're affecting the people that live in that country. And personally, the way that I see it, if I move to Germany, Germany has to have plans, or their politicians, according to the citizens or their country, not me, the immigrant. The same way as I was going through the process, the elected politicians, their priority should be on their citizen and answer to their issues and try to improve the situation as best as they can. Then secondary, it will be the immigrants. But as you can see, how are they handling it right now? Multiple cities are complaining about the issue with immigration, and it was something that Trump brought all along. But they wanted to call him racist. They wanted to say all these things. And again, I'm not trying to defend Trump. I'm trying for people to think, separate those things. You can disagree with Trump, but you can also analyze whether his plan is a good one or a bad one. And I'm going to give you here with the second part of the clip, and I'll close it with that.
Out to have been right. And that's what's so frustrating for me. The work on the border wall. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. Turned out it was right. Issuing long-term debt to refinance when rates were at zero. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. A structural peace in the Middle East. We didn't like the messenger, so we killed the message. When are we going to stop shooting ourselves in the foot? And when are we going to actually see and take the time to look past who is saying things and actually listen to them word for word? I'll give you an example. I started to tweet 3 links a day over the past 3 days. And the only reason I did that was I thought things were so hyper contentious and hyper partisan that I just wanted to show a few sides, right? And one day I found a couple links, 2 of which, one was from Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, who I thought had a very powerful message. And one was from Mike Flynn. And his message was also actually pretty powerful if you just read it. And if you took the names off, all the content was so valuable, both points of view. But the minute it goes into the world, people immediately judge and they kill the message because of the messenger. And this is exactly a moment where you have an opportunity to just stop doing that because the stakes are so high.
And he was saying right there, this is something that has happened to me, that in my mind, I already have a belief of a certain person that posts something. And my immediate thought is like, they probably posted something idiotic. And then you pause for a second and be like, hey, I'm going to try to disconnect my bias from what I'm trying to read and see if it actually makes sense. And in my opinion, there's many things that the Democrats suggest that can be improved. But I think at the moment they're having like the whole agenda has been anything against Trump. Trump is a dictator. Trump is a fascist. And I think he has broken them in a way that they're not able to distance themselves from being that. If Democrats actually proposed better policies and their entire thing was not just, anyone but Trump, I think they might be able to actually even win the election. But since their entire agenda is just demonizing Trump and not having an actual plan, an actual something that actually worked, because I think the worst thing that Kamala has on her plate is she was in charge of the border, while on the border they allowed more than 10 million people. These are just encounters that people had with Border Patrol. How about the people that didn't have encounters with the border? And there are many issues like that I would hope in the future, maybe one day, we're able to not look at each other just because we disagree politically that we're somehow evil. At the end, politics comes also from personality and how we want to approach certain things. And some people, they want to project, or they have a different mindset how they want to fix a problem. And there's a reason a right and a left exist. As long as we don't go the authoritarian route, we should be good. As long as we have controls and protections for the Constitution, and we both have a discussion how we fix those problems, I think we'll be in a better situation down the road.